Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be another Animal Artists Collective video. The AAC is an initiative founded by Denise Soden and Jennifer Charlie here on YouTube to raise awareness about animal conservation through education and art. Each piece created for the AAC is available for purchase, with half the proceeds going to animal conservation and welfare. Our theme for November was the poles, so the Arctic and Antarctic. Since many of the other animals chosen were poster animals of sorts, attractive penguins and polar bears, furry guys, I went the uglier, fishier route and decided to paint some sleeper sharks. Now, sharks are part of the group Chondrichthyes, which is basically referred to as cartilaginous fishes, which means that they're aquatic animals that have basically only one bone in their body, which is, well, two bones, their top jaw and their bottom jaw, and their teeth. Everything else about them is made up of cartilage. They're called fish, but that's a little bit misleading. Fish is not a particularly scientific term unless you're directly referring to osteichthyes, which are bony fishes. There's not actually a big umbrella scientific group called fish that includes all of them. You actually have to go all the way up to phylum Chordata to include everything that we call fish. Fish is a term that applies to a lot of animals, and it even used to apply to whales colloquially. Obviously, whales now today are classified as mammals, but we used to call them fish. So it's not really a scientific term, and it's not really clear how Chondrichthyes and osteichthyes are related in the evolutionary story. Phylogeny, which is the study of phylogenesis, the evolutionary development and diversification of species, is sort of a game of figuring out where things fit, even if you don't exactly know how they fit together. There's no way we can go back in time and watch how every animal evolves into every other animal. If you're going back so far to where sharks appear in the fossil record, which is a very long time ago, you don't have any DNA, you don't have any arrows pointing to when sharks appeared and why their skeletons turned so cartilaginous. So anyway, basically, sharks are chondrichthyans, which are cartilaginous fish, but fish doesn't really apply to sharks also because it applies to other fish. And anyway, that's sort of a long way of saying sharks are unique, and they're related to rays and chimeras, and they form their own little group. So the sharks that I'm painting here are three different species of the genus Somniosus. So Somniosus is one of the genera within Somniosidae, which include sleeper sharks and their relatives. These three species, which are the little sleeper shark, the Greenland shark, and the Pacific sleeper shark, all live in northern Arctic waters, and they live very, very deep in these waters as well. The Greenland shark in the center here has one of the longest known lifespans of all vertebrate species, and they're estimated to live between 300 to 500 years per individual, which is crazy. As an adaptation to living at depth, it has a high concentration of certain chemicals in its tissue, which makes the meat toxic. There's actually a way of fermenting the meat that makes it safe to eat, and that's considered a delicacy in Iceland. I'm not sure how they're getting these deep water sleeper sharks up to the surface and fermenting them, and have been doing it long enough that it's sort of a traditional food, but that's pretty wild to me. These sharks also have been found with beaks in their stomachs, which suggests that they feed on colossal squid. It's so hard to imagine animals that live in deep oceans. I don't know a ton about marine ecology, and I don't know, I think sharks are basically aliens. They live in such a different world from us terrestrial land mammals. If you want to know more about sharks and rays and chimeras and how they fit together and how they're related to one another, I would recommend checking out sharksrays.org. This is a project put together by scientists with Dr. Lindsay Marshall, also known as Stick Figure Fish, as the lead illustrator. She has been painting every single species of ray, shark, and chimera, which is crazy. It's a wonderful project. I think the full book of rays has just come out, and you can purchase that if you're looking for some heavy reading. But also I would recommend checking out Dr. Lindsay Marshall's work. She's a shark specialist, but also she's an amazing watercolor painter, and I've taken a lot of inspiration from her in doing these lateral shark paintings here. I'm painting on a fully cotton rag paper, which is usually used for printmaking. I think it's really fun to work on, but it comes with its challenges because it's not made in the same way that watercolor paper is made, so the paint behaves a little bit differently. You can see that it stays wet longer, and the colors will bleed into one another more than they would on other paper, mostly because it's staying wet, but also because the paper is so it has such a high absorption. It really sucks it in, but you can get some really nice effects with it. So I've painted all three of these on one sheet, one 8x10 sheet of this paper, and this will be available on my Etsy store, and half of the proceeds will go to a charity organization for animal conservation that I'll link in the description below and give you a little bit of info on that. So if you'd like to purchase the original, please do. I'm sure these sharks would love to find a home, even though they look pretty funny. They were a joy to draw because they're so strange and their noses are so weird. But I hope you enjoy watching the footage of this painting, and I hope you learned a little bit about the emergence of sharks and how they fit into our current scientific understanding of this animal group. Taxonomy and phylogeny they're fun to talk about, but I'm certainly not an expert, so my apologies to any one of you who might be an expert. But taxonomy and phylogeny and our opinions of where animals fit together in the evolutionary record and how they all relate to one another, it's often changing, and it's all just based on what humans think. So, you know, maybe we'll never know for certain, but this is what we think now. But I think it'll always be quite true that sharks are very strange and special among the animal kingdom. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!